Hi everyone, Leanne with Sacred Wild Woman here. So I'm excited about this topic today. It's about self-love and self-care. And I've had to practice what I preach for the last couple of days and have had to do some self-care. And what I mean by that is that I have been physically and mentally exhausted due to work and holiday rush, and I've had to say no to doing work, and I've had to say no to things that pertain to work. And for me, that is self-care, knowing when to say no and taking care of myself physically and mentally. And that's actually what self-care means. It's about physically and mentally taking care of yourself, while self-love is about showing yourself kindness. It's the whole part of self-love. It's the whole gamut, the mind, body, and spirit, while self-care is about taking care of yourself physically and mentally, finding that peace within yourself and spending time. Self-care is about spending time doing the things that you enjoy doing, like painting, and I'm in the park, and so getting grounded and watching things that are like mindless, that are not so deep, and getting yourself into that place of just calming down and slowing down. And we're in the middle of a pandemic, right? And there's COVID and there's the holidays, and we can tend to give. At least I can tend to give. And my gas tank becomes so low that I can't give anymore, and I have to say no. And no is a complete sentence. So self-care is the sacrifice for a better change, right? It's the process of becoming a better version of yourself and changing the things that you don't like about yourself. It's fixing what's working in your life and doing what nobody else can do for you. And self-love, on the other hand, is about cultivating gratitude and acceptance toward yourself physically and emotionally. Practicing self-love can look like talking to yourself positively and throwing away the scales and like really falling in love with yourself. One of the things I've done for myself is I have put a four-year-old version of myself on my mirror, and every day I would say, I love you. I love you. And although I didn't believe that version of myself, that 4-year-old that really needed that love, that self-love, I didn't believe it at the time, but eventually it became a thing. I was able to look at myself in the mirror and eventually see the person right before me and say, I love you. And I meant it. And that's the part of self-love that needs more of. We need more of is finding the love within ourselves, and that no man, woman, person, thing, money will ever be able to buy that kind of self-love. And it takes practice. Practicing self-love, it takes practice and commitment, right? Also paying attention to your intuition and trusting yourself enough to take action. Self-love is about letting yourself be where you are, right where you're at right now. It may not be perfect, and nothing is ever perfect, right? But accepting where you are and finding the love within yourself to fall in love with yourself. And it's about really being gentle with yourself. Last year, I spent a whole year practicing what it means to be gentle, because I had this little voice in my head that said, you have to go harder, stronger, faster. It's not enough. And I had to define what that meant, gentleness and self-love, what that really meant. Now, I've been practicing self-love for a very, very long time, but the other part of that was the gentle part. There was this little voice that said, you got to push harder. It's not enough. And I practiced that. And I still practice that every day. Being gentle to myself. What I do is enough and will be enough. It's also about listening. Self-love is about listening to yourself and finding that voice and using it, that inner voice, that revelation of your authentic self, which is your divine spiritual being, that you are a spiritual divine being, and having the awareness that you are here for a reason. And so I hope you found this video helpful, and do some self-love, do some self-care. Right now is the most important time to do that. Your family can wait. They can pause for just a minute. Give yourself 15 to 20 minutes a day, or even if you can't do it a day, do it every other day, whether it's doing a meditation or reading something, or writing sticky notes on a mirror, saying something positive to yourself. It sounds airy-fairy, but it really is about the intention that you put behind it. That intention becomes a reality, and before you know it, you do find, like I said earlier, you do find that self-love that you've been looking for. You are who you've been looking for your whole entire life, and that love is you. So again, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I hope you have an amazing day, and because you're worth it.